Isn't she cute? I love this little cutie. This is Ida. You might think she's called the ID Buzz. I'm going to show you why she's called Ida. This is our first drive of the Volkswagen ID Buzz, or as we like to call her, Ida. Volkswagen has been working on the ID Buzz, or Ida, for a long time. It's been probably about a decade since they first announced this as a concept, and then it's been a few years since they started rolling out the European version. They changed their strategy a couple of times. At first it was going to just be a delivery van or a delivery bus, and then there was so much demand and so much clamor for this, they decided to actually turn it into a passenger bus. They don't like to call it a van, but feels like it to me. But van or bus, it doesn't really matter. It's finally here. And that's something I'm really excited to show you, the Volkswagen ID Buzz. Be sure to follow along on all of our social channels, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and if you see a video pop up right here, click on it. We put it there because we think you're gonna like it. So we've been driving around California all day in the ID Buzz, and I have to say, it's really fun. It is a minivan. It is big. This cabin is huge. In fact, just putting my camera over there on the window was quite the challenge because this is a big van. But it feels almost weightless. You just tap the accelerator and away you go. It's got really good torque, which is, that zippiness. It's got really good power. Accelerating on the highway was fine. Driving through some of the curvy roads and through the hills of Southern California, it was great. And it's been quite a good drive today. I really appreciate being able to have all of the technology at my fingertips and the quiet ride. This has been great. And let's talk about what you expect in a car like this. So $60,000, and it is really, really loaded. Massaging seats at the $60,000 level. I'm not sure exactly why Volkswagen decided to do those things, but I'm glad that they did. A lot of people think of EVs as great for around town, short trips, things like that. And I'm going to say this one totally fits that bill. And by the way, I'm also going to say, you see like this here and a lot, and doesn't this look big? Well, you know what? It is really big. I have my camera in the window, and this is the best view I can get because this cabin is so huge. This car is enormous. But yes, short trips around town, this is a great car for that. Driving the kids to wherever, dropping them off, pickups, drop-offs, carpools, etc., etc. Plug in it every day, never get gas. This is the car you were thinking about for that kind of thing. This has been such a delight to finally drive this car, so rewarding. I've been anxious to drive it for a long time. It's nice to finally feel the power in my hands, to be behind the wheel, and to get a little experience with the Volkswagen ID Buzz. The Volkswagen ID Buzz that we'll see sold in North America is the long wheelbase, and that means it has 3 rows of seating for up to 7 passengers. It has sliding doors. There's a nice cargo area in the back, and this is extraordinarily well priced for a car this size with a lot of features. In fact, this is the base model. It is the rear-wheel drive, 7-passenger. It has a bench in the middle. But here's the crazy thing. Listen to all the features that you get in the base model. So it starts with premium LED lighting and the lighted badge, 20-inch wheels, power folding heated mirrors, tinted second and third row windows, power tailgate. Often that's something you have to pay for or get a package. Full leatherette seats throughout the car, 12-way heated and vented front seats with dual armrests and massage. That's a pretty crazy feature for a base model. Heated steering wheel, washer nozzles, meaning on those rear mirrors, buzz box, flexible center console. I'm going to show you that. Wood trim on the dash, 30-color ambient light. The 13-inch center multimedia display and the 5-inch digital driver display, wireless app connect, that's basically Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, in-car Wi-Fi, 8 USB-C ports. There is a 12-volt in the trunk. There is IQ Drive, which is their driver assistance safety system. Park Assist with memory parking. That's something we don't see in a base model very often. Dynamic road sign display, so you can see the speed of the road you're on. Front and rear park sensors. So that's a ton of features that you might usually find in a premium trim that's on the base model. And from there, you can add all-wheel drive. You can upgrade to the Pro S Plus model, which is a little bit more, and that adds retractable tow hitch, premium Harman Kardon sound, head-up display, heated windshield, captain's chairs and panoramic or 360 camera. And then you can add a sunroof for $1,500. You can add captain's chairs for $700. If you go up to the first edition, you get a few more details. And then if you're going to add all-wheel drive, that adds about $4,500 to the price. So sorry that I had to pull up my notes and read that to you, but that's a ton, and all still under $70,000. So starting at $60,000, ending at $70,000. Now, let's go and look at all of those features. The Volkswagen ID Buzz stays true to the original with this true microbus or minibus design, sort of a short front end. That is a feat of engineering, that is for sure. It is notable for this lighted badge on the front. That Volkswagen, new Volkswagen logo is lighted. And notice the headlights. The headlights, they call them ID lights, and they actually have a lot of personality. They look really fun. Notice this venting here, or this mesh here on the front bumper. That's a detail you'll see inside. We have these large 20-inch monoblock wheels, and they have the ID, the Volkswagen badge on them as well. And the overall effect is almost sort of floral, sort of flower power look to it. You'll notice there are ID lights. These are the headlight, the tail lights, or IQ lights, I guess they call them, the tail lights here. This is our power port, so this is where you're going to plug the car in. It's over here on the rear right side. On the rear, there is the ID Buzz name, very distinct right across the rear end, and the Volkswagen badge there. A rear tail light bar across the back of the tailgate, and then even though we don't have exhaust pipes there, we do have these little spoilers here on either side below the bumper. There is a big fin on the rear. That's where the antenna is for the Wi-Fi and for radio. There are these little details here on the rear. And if you get a first edition, I believe you'll see the first edition badge imprinted there as well. Overall, the ID Buzz stays true to the original. The shape is great. I love this green and white. My family had a green and white Volkswagen bus, microbus, when I was a baby. And I love the heritage feel of the green and white. Ours was green and white too, and it just looks great. Inside though, it's even better. Another detail that I love are these door handles. So it's just an electronic latch, and you just pull this and the door closes. You also just push the little button inside here to open the door. And what that means is no moving parts that will pinch little fingers. I appreciate you, Volkswagen. In the front seat of the Volkswagen ID Buzz, or as I like to think of her, Ida, and I'll show you why. It's completely rethought, completely innovative, and so much fun to be here. First of all, look at my seating position. So my seat's not super high, but it's relatively high, and I still have a lot of headroom. There is not a sunroof in this car, but it's a $1,400, $1,500 option, so that's definitely something that's easy to add. But all the other good stuff is here. First of all, let's talk about this interior. So it's this sort of white color here. We've got these white leatherette seats. Leatherette is something that you're going to find throughout this car and all of the ID Buzz models because it's more sustainable. It's made from recycled and renewable materials rather than leather, and it's lighter weight, costs less, so it reduces the footprint, carbon footprint, it reduces impact on our environment, and it reduces the cost of the car and the use of energy. So all around leatherette really makes a lot of sense. You'll see that there's a really nice ID logo here in the seats, and then these are perforated, and that's because they are heated and vented. Another nice detail. There are armrests here that fold out of the way if you don't want it. Another detail that's really interesting is this, and that is the removable center console. So there's a button here, you just push this, and the thing completely removes. You can completely take it out. And then it also has this. There are drawers on either end. You just push this in, push it down, and the drawer opens. It doesn't really fully come out, but there is one on either side. And then to put this back in, you just pop it right back into place. It actually just self-latches. I really love that detail. I wanted to know, where am I going to put my phone? Well, I have a lot of options. If I want to drop my phone right here, there's a nice little shelf there. If I wanted to put my phone there, I can't. The cup holders are here, so if I wanted to drop my phone in there, I could do that. But the best place to put my phone is right here, which is the wireless phone charger. If that's not convenient, I could put it here. I could drop it in here. I could put it over here. There just are lots of options. If I need to plug it in, however, there are two USB ports here. There's one in the passenger side door, and then there are USB ports in the rear for rear seat passengers to charge. Down here is we'll find our cup holders. They tuck neatly into the center console. I really like that. And then here's where you'll find the controls to open and close the sliding door. So I'm going to show you this. I want you to watch this little screen here. And as I move the steering wheel, that screen moves with me. And that's because it's attached to the steering wheel. And this is brilliant. It's attached to the steering wheel. And what that means is it's never out of view. If I move the steering wheel for my comfort, I don't lose the view of the driver screen. Now, there's not a lot of information on this driver screen. I'm going to actually start the car. So I can put it in B mode, which is for regenerative braking. I can hit park. I can turn it down like that to go into reverse, like this to go into drive, and then I can turn it again to go into B mode. And what I see here is very simple. I see the speed that I'm going, I see the amount of battery left on the amount of charge left on the battery, and I see some key things. Like I'll see some key information that tells me that the door is open, I know that, and it's beeping at me to tell me that there's a guy on a skateboard that's flying around the car. And, you know, I'm in a parking lot, so of course, what do you expect? So now it's giving me lots of beeps because I have it in drive, and I'm going to put it in park so it'll stop beeping at me. It also tells me how many miles I drove on my last journey. So I really love all of those details right there. It's only key information. I also have in our model, and it's an addition, head-up display. And head-up display gives me also a lot more information, you know, things that I need to know for my drive, the speed that I'm going, navigation instructions, the radio station. To control other functions, I'm going to go here to this 13-inch media screen. And this is a nice large screen. It's not overly large, but it's a nice size. There's a lot of great information here. And I'm going to walk through some of the key functions here, including this one. So this system is voice assisted, and Volkswagen has done something really cool, and this is something that more and more automakers are doing, and something that we'll start to see more of as time goes on, and that is you can actually change the name of the voice assistant. So if you wanted to call it, they call it IDA for ID, and they also set the wake word as hello. I like hey, but and I've learned to say hello, and that's fine. But you might want to just set the wake word to just hey you, or just hello, or change the name to, you know, honeypot, or whatever you want to change it to. You can do that in this system. There are a lot of ways to customize this system. I'm going to go through and show you what you need to know on the multimedia system. There's a light right here. They call it an ID light. And notice that as I ask for the multimedia system, or as I ask for the voice assistance. Hello, Ida? And it lights up so you can see even in your peripheral vision, as you're not looking at the screen, you're looking at the road, but you can see the light there that indicates that the system is listening to you. You can actually see it all, the words scroll across the screen as well. Look at that. You can actually change the wake word on this system if you want. So I'm going to show you a couple of things. So first of all, we're at navigation. There is a phone setting, there's a music setting, there is a phone setting so you can connect your car by Apple CarPlay. There are notifications here, we don't need that. And this shows you we have 4G, and that gives me the time. Down here is a fixed climate bar. So I can tap any of the climate settings if I want to cool the seats, and when I tap that, I also get the massage option, and I can actually sync front passenger seat with driver by pressing and holding synchronize. So I can use this to adjust the driver's seats as I would with the controls, or the passenger seat and the driver's seat as I would with this. And this is really cool. If you want to move that front seat, say you want to move it forward because there's a rear-facing child passenger car seat behind it, you could actually do it from here rather than having to walk around or lean over and physically push that button. There is an app setting here, a little app menu there. Here are all our apps. And the thing that I find most valuable, even though we have seats and we have ambient light, which is a standard feature, and we have tips, and we have IDA. This is our voice assistant system, and you can actually change her name, and there's more information about this, but let's see, and IDA is there. You can also find IDA over here under settings, and I can go into voice assistant, and this is where you can change her name and change some of the settings here, including the volume. And then there's a bunch of other things in here. So anything that you are not sure exactly where it might be, always go into the settings menu. That is going to be a great place to start. You'll also find vehicle assistance. So this is the the IQ system, which is driver assistance safety systems. If you don't want the lane keep on, you can turn it off. Speed warning, you can turn off. Adaptive cruise control, there are settings here. So those are all of your driver assistance settings. And then you'll notice there's a little icon, a little car icon there. This gives you quick access to charging information. This gives you quick access to auto hold, one of my very favorite features in this car. This gives you access to positioning your head-up display. So actually, I'm going to put this up a little bit. I've had trouble seeing it today. And your assist systems, if you want to turn those on. And then there's this big ID Buzz. And if you tap that, you get this graphic that shows you exterior lights. You can get your tire information. You can set some customization for your mirrors, for your headlights. And that's on the exterior. On the interior, you can position the head-up display. You can reset your trip odometer there. You can find your ID light, and you can set it so if you want that little light there that lit up when we were using the voice assistant to flash when it's time for you to make a turn, you can set it so it will flash when you're making a turn. A lot of really cool features here. And then also easy entry. This says seats, and I thought this is where I'd find massage, but I didn't. But this is where you're going to find easy entry for the driver's seat and the front passenger seat. And what that means is the seat pushes back when you open the door to make it easier to get in and out. And then when you close the door, it will push the seat back to the position it was in. So really cool, helpful details here on the multimedia screen in the Volkswagen ID Buzz. Another thing I'm going to show you are the press play pedals. So the play and pause pedals. So play and pause. Very clever details. A lot of these details, from the white steering wheel and the driver display to the pause and play pedals, are things that Volkswagen rolled out early on in the ID4, and they have continued some of the most popular features in the ID Buzz, and we are super glad. So let's talk about this front cabin. Here is our driver display. Here are our headlights over here. And we can just, and then defrost is there as well. So that's kind of nice. And then there's our fog lights. And these are all touch sensitive. So you just touch it and there it is. One of the things Volkswagen ID Buzz owners are going to have to learn is how to use the window control. I know that sounds a little crazy, and that's a learning curve. It's neither good or bad. It just is what it is, and it takes a little practice to get the hang of it. Let me show you. Over here on the door panel, there are the window controls. That is the lock, and now it's locked, and then it's unlocked. So if it illuminates yellow, that means it's active. And then to set the mirror position, I'm going to tap the mirror. I'm going to tap the mirror. Can turn on the mirror defroster. Once I have the L illuminated, then I can actually adjust the mirror in or out. So that's what I'm going to have to do to set my mirror position. I can turn it the other way to the right mirror, and then I can adjust this in or out. So you see how it's doing that. So, but I want to see this R illuminated. And then there's this word that says rear, and if I tap that, that illuminates. And what that means is it will control the rear windows. But if I turn off that rear control by turning it black, that's how I control the front windows. It takes a little getting used to understand these controls. This is our child safety lock and unlock. So it takes a little getting used to, but once you do, I think you'll be fine. And then this is our mirror defrost. Another thing I'll point out is the ID Buzz has this really wide dashboard, and this is to extend the cabin all the way to the front of the car and keep that iconic look about it, to keep that shape and the look, and sort of like a low hood line or a no hood line. Well, that's because the cabin is extended all the way out. But of course, we need airbags, we need vents, there's some mechanical features in there. So absolutely, it's important to have things underneath there, but they were very clever in how they configured this design to keep the original shape, and that's what this big dashboard is all about. I gotta say, I love a sliding door. It gives you such great access to the second row and to the third row, and then here in the back seat of the ID4, the seat is set for me. There is tons of legroom. Look how much space I have. It is the great thing about a bus or a van, however you want to call it. And then Volkswagen has really thought about things. Like, for instance, there's a nice little phone pocket there. There's another pocket here. We don't have an in-car entertainment system, but you can add tablets if you'd like to. That certainly is easy enough. These seats standard rear heated seats, so I can turn these on. There's a window control here, but somehow it's locked and I'm not able to use it. And a totally flat floor, and I will show you that. Totally flat floor, which means it's a great place to put a handbag or something like that. But let's talk about how child passenger car seats will fit. I'm gonna say really good. These seats are actually designed for child passenger car seats. So seat back to seat back, and this seat is set for me, I'm 5'8". I have 34 inches. You need 29, so you've got an extra 5 inches of space for the standard installation of a rear-facing child passenger car seat. This seat is actually set for someone who's a little bit taller, and I still have about 31 inches. So even with this seat back as far back as it is, lots of legroom up front and lots of space for child passenger car seats. Let's look at the middle seat here though. Seatbelt to seatbelt, I have 13 inches between this seatbelt receptacle and this one, 13 inches. It's a kind of a nice flat seat, and that means you're going to be able to fit a baby seat here, rear-facing car seat in the middle. You could put 2 rear-facings and a forward-facing, 3 rear-facings, however you'd want to configure child car seats. They're going to fit in the ID Buzz. Then let's talk about latches. Volkswagen took an all-in approach. There is a full latch set here, and here, and here, and there, and there. 5 full sets of latches. That's the lower anchors and the upper tethers. And they're nice and easy to see. You could see them right here. So if you have a rigid car seat latch, that'll just slide right in, which is really easy. If you've got the tether type, it's also going to be really easy. You don't have to reach into the seat bite and risk, putting your fingers in like crushed goldfish or whatever your children might have let drop in there. That is not going to be an issue. These are 60-40 split seats. So this is the 60, this is the 40, and you can actually stow one side if you want to. These seats do fold down for access to the third row. And let's talk about getting into the third row. So we were in the all-wheel drive version earlier today that has captain's chairs. We don't have captain's chairs in this one. We have the second row bench, 3 seats here, 2 in the third row. And I'm going to show you what it's like to access the third row. Volkswagen went with a real traditional approach here, slide and tilt. And what this means is you have space here to slide and tilt a seat if there's a child passenger car seat installed. So even with 1 forward-facing seat installed here or 2 forward-facing seats installed, you can still access the third row. And I want to show you how tall this is. So I'm like, not squatting. I will say my legs are fully extended and I'm able to sit here, and this is pretty easy. I want to show you how roomy it is back here because that's kind of shocking too. With that seat pushed all the way forward, I have miles and miles of space. I don't really need miles and miles of space, so I'm going to assume that there's somebody else sitting here. So seat is in place. I have plenty of space. I've got a lot of leg room back here. I am not going to lie. In fact, I have so much room, I have to come over here and lean over the seat to see you. Now, if I wanted to push this seat forward, I could do that, and that would actually probably be the smarter way to access the third row is on the passenger side. I have to say, I think Volkswagen did a really nice job. And with this seat pushed forward, sort of in that middle position, I have a ton of space. In fact, I'm going to measure the leg room because I have my tape measure. And so between the seat back here and the edge of the seat, 15 inches. 15 inches here, and then this seat is all the way back, and I still have 13 inches. 13 inches between this seat and this seat. When you've got, and let's measure it really shoulder to shoulder, which is the true like airline measure, 34 inches. So this is the distance of one of those comfort class seats or economy plus seats. 31 is actually pretty typical for SUVs as well. So I'm going to say the rear seat legroom in here is quite impressive. And now let's look at headroom. I hope you can still see me because I feel like I'm back here in the cavern, but I still have quite a lot of headroom back here and totally flat floor. Look at the angle of my knees. They are not bent. They're completely kind of like sitting in a normal chair. I will say though that I'm not completely comfortable because I would like my seat to recline. And it does that too. You just pull the same tab, it's on the side, you have to kind of reach around and find it. Pull the same tab that you would use to fold the seats flat. You just pull this and the seat will recline a little bit. Volkswagen's done a really nice job with the third row in the ID Buzz. These carpets are just beautiful. They added these really beautiful Berber carpets. Those are going to hide a lot of dirt, and you can take them out and shake them off. On the ceiling there are air vents. They're nice wide windows here. And then there is a little shelf for a tablet or a phone. There's a little cubby there, USB port there, and a cup holder, and we have those on both sides. Second row seats fold flat. You just pull this lever here, and they fold flat. And they match the fold flat seats in the third row. So you do get this contiguous space, although it does have sort of gaps in it there. Although I want you to notice this beautiful Berber carpet that they added. It really is quite elegant. But that's what the seats look like when they are folded down. The third row seats are removable. The second row seats are not, but they do fold flat. Look at that, hands-free liftgate. And that's just the start of what's really great in the back of this car. I'm gonna show you what it's like to put these seats down. So there's a little tab here, and the seats just fold flat, just like that. And one of the things that Volkswagen did that's super clever is they actually elevated the cargo floor. So third row seats are completely removable. You can totally take them out. Second row seats stow in the floor if you need a completely contiguous space. Now, Volkswagen really thought about this because these seats fold flat, and then there is this floor extender here, and it's actually a whole contraption. You can take this whole thing out. There's a little adjustment there that you can just take this whole contraption out. This is an option, but it's really clever because look at all this storage that you have, and then you have this nice flat space back here. I really like how they did this, and I really like having these storage boxes right here in the rear of the Volkswagen ID Buzz. So this is pretty smart. To put the seats up, you just pull this loop and then pull this, and they come right into position. If you do want to pull the seat back a little bit more for a more reclined position, pull that loop back, and it does recline. And that loop actually is the same one that you'll pull, just reach it from the other side. If you're sitting in this seat and you want to recline this seat, you just pull that loop. I really like this third row area. With the rollout of the ID Buzz concept a decade ago and then the introduction of the ID4, Volkswagen has demonstrated that boring cars are truly not in their DNA. This car is fun. It is filled with charm. It has a lot of character, and there are so many smart details that make it perfect for short hauls around town or longer family trips. 230 miles of range is enough for a half-day drive, stop for a charge, another half-day drive. That's pretty much as far as you really want to go with a car full of people anyway. And then with 335 horsepower or 284 horsepower, that's enough to make you happy while you're on the highway. It was a delight driving the ID Buzz around all day today in San Francisco. Check out our full story at A Girl's Guide to Cars, and be sure to subscribe. Thanks for joining us.